Ethereum, ETH, altcoins. We'll cover some stuff like that. There's kind of a bearish wedge sort of set up on ETH that is a lot harder to ignore than kind of what was going on in Bitcoin. I was thinking if the stock market rallies here, Bitcoin will probably rally with it. I'm not sure they're actually going to be correlated. ETH and Bitcoin are more likely to do the same thing than Bitcoin and the stock market. But yeah, anyway, I'm visiting my niece for her birthday this weekend, and I'm doing this video from her room because I think Sparkle Unicorn is a pretty good theme when you're talking about altcoins. So, yeah, please like, comment, and stuff. So, yeah, this is a wedge on ETH that doesn't look super great. I mean, it looks like you might flag into the downtrend again, and then maybe cross over the wedge. And let me go back and show you the last couple of wedges on ETH, because this is a very common thing that ETH does all the time, every couple of years. Alright, so here's the last couple of down wedges on ETH. Come on. So you can see what you do is you hop on top of this downtrend, right? You cross over. The top may not connect on the crossover, but you'll get several taps that paint the downtrend. You usually tap it more than once, and you cross over. You might tap the other side more than once, but this is the general wedge trend. It's sort of a, I don't know, it almost looks like a head and shoulders kind of a pattern, but it doesn't need to do that. Like the thing that's important is you hop on top of the downtrend, right, and then you go and get stuck underneath a higher one, and you get this wedge, and that eventually knocks you down into the lower one, and then you can break out. You've got to cross over and tap once or twice before you can break out. And you can see here the same kind of thing. You hop on top, and this stayed on top for a while, rallied into it, right, crossover, boom. And so if that kind of wedge pattern is playing out now, who knows, you might get one or two more taps on the downtrend, and then you might get one or two taps on this side, right? And that's your bottom probably from 10 to 11, and then you could rally out, maybe back into this bull area. Anyway, that's the kind of descending wedge bearish thing that looks kind of obvious on ETH, which wasn't quite as obvious on the Bitcoin chart. But I want to flip over to Bitcoin and show the Bitcoin chart with this kind of a pattern on it, so you can see this. And yeah, I'm kind of trading Bitcoin completely separately from the stock market at this point, because Bitcoin is wildly unpredictable, and the stock market is actually doing some normal stuff right now, which I like. I'm just not trading Bitcoin right now, and I am trading the stock market right now. But what I wanted to talk about is the whole Bitcoin black swan situation, which is a bunch of legal issues that have been ongoing for several years, actually, but just nobody has been talking about them. And there's a bunch of court cases that have happened, and this involves Craig Wright claiming to be the creator of Bitcoin. And, well, he won the big lawsuit in Florida versus the Climate Estate, someone that he worked with at the beginning of Bitcoin that supposedly helped him mine a bunch of the early blocks. And David Kleiman, his brother and the Climate Estate were trying to get Craig to pay them for a bunch of these Bitcoin, and Craig said, you lost your keys to your Bitcoin, like I don't owe you that. Like those are your coins, and you lost the keys. They haven't moved, so how did I steal them? And he won the court case, but he also had to pay a fine for something. I don't know, some sort of infringement or something. But the court ruled that he doesn't owe Craig Bitcoin or dollars in the amount of the Bitcoin that they were trying to get. Anyway, that case was in Craig's favor. And there's another case right after that was maybe way more huge than that everyone completely ignored. Jack Dorsey from Square last year came out and formed a group that's like a Bitcoin defense fund thing, and sued Craig Wright over his copyrights. Craig Wright is the copyright holder of the Bitcoin white paper under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto in UK and the US, and maybe Australia, probably Australia. And he was sending out cease and desist orders to like Bitcoin.org and Square and telling them to take the white paper down off of their sites because he's the copyright holder. And Jack Dorsey put this group together and sued him, and he won the case. And they had to post the court order on their website. Like Bitcoin.org has to post the court order on the website that they did a copyright violation of his copyright. That's what the court case resulted in, and they had to take the stuff down. Nobody's talked about this, and this is lawsuit, according to Craig. I listened to everything that he says about it, but he's like, yeah, I created Bitcoin. Yeah, it's my white paper. Like, yeah, I worked with some people early on, and then some other people came on a little bit later. And he didn't want to come public, but he did because, well, mainly because they screwed the protocol up. Like the Bitcoin core devs, for one, you're allowed to take the Bitcoin code and change it. That's fine. But if you change the Bitcoin protocol, you can't call it Bitcoin anymore. And then if you take the database, that's not public. Like Craig owns the database and all the coins in the database until they're issued to someone else. And they copied the database illegally with all the coins that are in the database, and that's what BTC is. It's a fork. There's no such thing as a hard fork. That's an illegal copy of something that he owns, and you can't change the protocol and still call it Bitcoin. So these are the lawsuits that he's going to come out with soon. That, and he also has a pile of patents on the different versions of Bitcoin and a bunch of other services related to Bitcoin. And he said he's going to start legal action, and it's probably going to start in Europe because Europe's coming out with laws related to this. But in any case, this is the huge Bitcoin black swan, is a bunch of legal stuff that probably results in a fork war between BTC and the BSV branch, which is back to the original version of the white paper. And I would imagine, I mean, if BSV wins the war, BTC goes to zero. It disappears along with all of the other altcoins that have the same fixed block sizes that are not scalable. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can just look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. They've already hit the wall of how high they can scale, and they don't function as currency with these tiny block sizes. Obviously, that's the whole point of creating the Lightning Network. Is like, oh, we hit the wall of Bitcoin being able to scale, so let's create a third-party network that just kind of holds it as an asset. It's like, that's not what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a system for storing legal ownership contracts, legal contracts, and exchanging tokens as cash. It needs to be completely scalable across Earth. That's the whole point of it. And BSV is doing this. It's totally scalable. It has really, really low fees. You don't need any third-party networks. That's the point of Bitcoin, is to get rid of third-party networks with regards to cash. But in any case, all of this doesn't come out in the news, and you have to go look for it and research it, and it spends ridiculous amounts of hours. But that is the whole Bitcoin black swan, and Bitcoin could totally collapse at any moment, regardless of what the stock market is doing, completely separate from the stock market. I mean, you could have a government overthrow of the network, like just legally declare, you could legally declare BTC like an illegal thing, or another court case could come out, whatever. But in any case, yeah, here's the descending wedge look on Bitcoin for right now, just technicals. And it's the same thing as ETH. You jump on top, right, and then you cross over. And so I was drawing a downtrend off of this, which was painting sort of a channel. But what I just did is take this double tap, which not doing a good job drawing here. But anyway, this double tap right here, if you paint that as a downtrend, it looks a lot like ETH, and it's the same kind of thing. Like, how many times do you hit this thing and not break out? So we're on this downtrend for now until we break out of it, which is bearish on its own. But we also have the bottom side of this that you generally will tap once or twice before you break out. And you can see if we came all the way down in here and broke out, we're underneath the long-term bull channel. So a rally up underneath this area, that's bearish. That would be a bearish, didn't quite make it back up there kind of a spot where Bitcoin doesn't look so hot. Anyway, just for anyone that wanted to get bullish on Bitcoin, I thought I'd freak you out a little bit. Because everyone knows that Bitcoin is risky and all the altcoins are risky, but I don't think that people realize that that Bitcoin and ETH and almost every single altcoin is just not scalable. Bitcoin Cash and BSV and I guess probably Monero. Monero is scalable, but Monero is not a public ledger system. So there's different legal kind of things with that sort of a system, but Bitcoin is a legal public ledger system. It's not encrypted. The only thing that's encrypted is the hash for people to verify the blocks. The blocks themselves are not encrypted. No, it is not a cryptographic network. It's a public block. Friggin' the miners can look at everything in the block. It's not encrypted. Governments can get court orders for miners to redistribute property from one person to another. Like, no, you don't have some secret encrypted like stuff that no government can get to. That's a bunch of BS. You have a coin on a public ledger system that the government can get a court order and go to the nodes, the miners, tell them, hey, this person stole this property, transfer it back to this person. And that's how it was designed. It was designed to be a legal system with legal, normal, public legal contracts under common law, and where you can exchange property and you can go to court over it and you can get your money back from other people if they steal it. Like, that's what Bitcoin is. It's a cash system, and it's a system for just sort of housing, public property rights. In case you didn't know what Bitcoin was, that's what it actually is. And all of these coins that everyone are trading are super risky, but if you're looking to actually build something that works on a blockchain, BSV is the blockchain that really works, and it's really scalable, and it has really low fees, and nobody wants to hold the coins, and it looks like BSV will be crashing along with all the other coins, but it doesn't really matter. Like, BSV functions better if the price is way lower. That's not a concern at all. It's more functional. So if you're actually trying to build stuff on the blockchain, this is the chain that actually freaking works. This is the chain that will survive a crypto winter because it works. People will use it because it works, not because of some hype on the price. And then it's not supposed to be a high price. Like, it's supposed to be super, super tiny cash payments, like way less than a penny, with fees that are so low that you can transfer a penny across the world. Like, that's what it's designed for. So yeah, go check out my whole playlist. I have, I don't know, maybe 15 videos that cover all of this stuff over the last year or two. This has been going on. Nobody's talking about it. It's very important that people actually understand what Bitcoin is and build stuff that works on the freaking blockchain. That's what it's for. You're not supposed to be just gambling on the price of some coin that doesn't scale. This is ridiculous. But in any case, happy trading and good luck with your coins. Not investment advice as usual, but I will give you engineering advice. If you want to freaking talk about blockchain, learn how it works, okay? And build on the correct chain, or your stuff is going to be worthless and it's not going to function. Cheers.